Thunder could have found its coach, and Oklahoma City might have finally found a ball team. From the Dodge Sports Desk, I'm Mike Sherman, and this is Thunder Basketball with Darnell Mayberry. Darnell, in today's edition of the Oklahoman, you reported that the Thunder is leaning towards, maybe close to, taking the interim tag off of Scott Brooks' title and making him the head coach. What about it?
Well, I mean, if you look at what he's done since he took over on November 22nd, the biggest thing is the players are responding to him. Granted, the team is only 7-22 under Brooks, but they've shown improvement. They've won 3 of the last 5, 4 of the last 8. So, I think when you look at that, the numbers sort of speak for themselves when you look at the wins, the point production, the defensive improvement. Ron Adams, the assistant coach, has a lot to do with that. But players are having fun playing this game now, and before you couldn't say that under P.J. Carlesimo. So just for the simple fact that the players are sort of endorsing him now. Jeff Green told me that he vouches for him. Desmond Mason told me. Nick Collison told me. Kevin Durant is for Scott Brooks getting this job. I think he deserves a shot.
Okay, what's left out there for him to accomplish? Other than making them a winner, a playoff team, what's the next step sort of in his progress as a coach?
I think, the in-game decisions probably is the thing that he still is getting accustomed to. He needs to, rotations are sort of, I don't want to criticize the guy's rotations because, he's doing a good job, but I think the rotations could be better. He's playing Kevin Durant 40-plus minutes a game at this point. So little things like that I think he's still adjusting to in terms of being the head man. And then the biggest thing, obviously, is winning. Again, 7-22 on your watch is not acceptable. Even though this is a rebuilding team, I think the next step is winning. Okay,
speaking of Brooks and his rotations, what about Chris Wilcox? About a week ago, he had gone 3 straight games without playing at all. Here in the last 2 games, he shows up big on Friday night in a big victory, played 8 minutes last night. What's going on with him?
It's interesting because, like you said, he did show up big. He had, I think, 17 and 11 in that victory over, I think it was the Pistons. And then all of a sudden he plays the 7 or 8 minutes Sunday night against the Heat. So, Scott Brooks keeps saying that he's in a logjam with Nick Collison and then at Christic. And, when Joe Smith gets back, I think that's going to be even more of a problem trying to juggle minutes between the power forwards and center spot. And Jeff Green is at power forward, so when he's getting 40 minutes, I think that sort of eliminates what you can do with those 2 spots, some of your flexibility. But somehow or another, he has to play Chris Wilcox. I asked him a couple days ago at practice if he prefers to play, 1 or 2 guys 35 to 40 minutes, or if he prefers to play, 3 guys sort of 20 to 25 minutes, and he says it's a game flow decision. But so far, it's looking like he prefers to play 1 or 2 guys those 30, 35 minutes.
And Wilcox lately has only been playing sort of in emergency situations. The game against Pistons on Friday night, pressed into action because Nick Collison was sick. Sunday night, he played because Collison got in foul trouble.
Right.
And so, but here comes the trading deadline. We're now inside 6 weeks, inside 5 weeks, maybe.
Inside 4 weeks.
Yeah,
4 weeks.
We're a month away. And so this logjam could be cleared up at the trade deadline. What's the latest on trade talk with the Thunder?
Well, the Charlotte deal went through. It wasn't for Raymond Felton, but they did trade for Desana Diop to the Mavericks. They got him from the Mavericks, a much-coveted center that they've wanted for some time. But the Raymond Felton deal still could go down at some point when DJ Augustin gets back healthy. Who knows whether or not Oklahoma City will be in that deal, but certainly they seem to have interest in getting Jerry Stackhouse from the Mavs, whether that's going to be that 3-team trade is going to be rekindled or if they just do something straight up with the Mavs for Earl Watson and get Jerry Stackhouse. Now, I think that Sam Presti has interest in Raymond Felton. He's trying to collect players, which is interesting because there was a report that the trade sort of fell through because both teams, the Mavs and the Thunder, had interest in Raymond Felton. But, if they get Raymond Felton, that brings up a good point about a good question about what are they going to do with Russell Westbrook at that point. They just drafted the guy 4th overall to be the point guard. Have they given up on him? Do they want to move him to the 2? That's just an interesting situation. But I think you're going to see something happen in terms of trades with perhaps Chris Wilcox, perhaps Damian Wilkins, and Earl Watson, of course. I think those are your 3 leading candidates.
Okay, Rudy Fernandez has beaten out Russell Westbrook by nearly 100,000 fan votes during the last spot in this year's Slam Dunk Final Four. Fair or foul?
When you look at it, I mean, you credit the league for opening up the fan votes, opening up the vote to fans. I think it's fair that he beat them fair and square. But Rudy Fernandez is from Spain. He had a whole other country voting for him. And when you look at what Russell Westbrook has done in terms of dunking in games and on people, hello, Mario Chalmers, I think, you have to look at Russell Westbrook deserved that spot, and I think it's just a shame that he didn't get in.
Do you think the lack of creativity hurt Russell Westbrook at all? I mean, there hadn't been any 360s breakaways. Basically, what he's doing is jumping out of the gym and slamming it on his way down from the light fixtures.
Yeah. I just think it was just the fact that Rudy Fernandez has a whole other country backing him. I mean, I think, there's no other excuse for him. I mean, Portland is obviously a bigger market than Oklahoma City, but, he has the fact that he has Spain backing him. Right. And there's obviously Pau Gasol, Marc Gasol. There's precedent. Sergio Rodriguez, a teammate with Portland. He has Spain has a big interest in the NBA, and I think that's what helped him more than anything.
Okay, Darnell, last question about the All-Star game. This year's All-Star starters will be announced Thursday night, but should Kevin Durant be, and he's ranked 7th in the league, should he be named a reserve?
The more I see Kevin Durant play, the closer this All-Star game is getting to February 14th, 15th. I'm thinking he deserves a spot in that All-Star game. I mean, he's averaging 24, I think, 0.1 points per game now. He's coming off 2 back-to-back 30-point games. The guy is sort of doing it all for his team right now. He's scoring, he's rebounding, he's getting assists, he's blocking shots even. So, I don't know, maybe because I see the guy every night. I mean, he's got stiff competition either for the guard spot or the forward spot. But I think he deserves at least a chance to be mentioned. I mean, he's not even being mentioned in the conversation now, and I think he deserves at least that.
Bigger factor, the fact that he's a second-year guy, or the fact that the Thunder got off to such a dreadful start, and why he doesn't make the All-Star team if he doesn't?
I think it's the fact that the Thunder is 8-34 and 8-33 going into at the 41 point mark, 41 game mark halfway through the season. You just don't see many players from losing teams getting on the All-Star ballot.
Okay, the Thunder has a 2-game West Coast swing this week. They go to Golden State on Wednesday, and then the Los Angeles Clippers are up next Friday at the Staples Center. Chances they'll come back 2-0.
I'm going to go 97.6%.
That they will?
That they will. Come back 2-0. I think these are very winnable games for the Thunder. They've proven in the last week and a week and a half that they can win on the road. They beat the Bulls on the road. They took New Jersey to overtime. That was a 500 team when they played them. So I think that their wins, obviously, against Memphis and then the Bulls. They're only 2 road wins. But they're proving that they're getting better and learning how to play on the road. So I think when you look at that and the fact that Golden State is not much better than the Thunder, and then the Clippers are banged up with Baron Davis and Zach Randolph out, I think these are very winnable games, and I think the Thunder will get them.
Well, you're not impressed by Marty Collins?
Not at all.
Thanks, Darnell. That's all for Thunder Basketball with Darnell Mayberry, but you can stay with the best coverage team anywhere every day at newsok.com and every morning in the Oklahoman.